Whether you're new to Darktide or are perhaps returning after a hiatus and need to reorient yourself, there have been quite a few changes since its release on PC. Here are 20 core concepts and systems that will save you time and learning, so you can spend more time running missions. Let's get into it. Number 1. Character creation. When creating a character, some of your choices for now are permanent, so take your time. We currently do not have the ability to modify our character's background, including planet of origin, their height, their voice, or their name once the character has been created. While in-game, you can modify your eyes, face, hairstyle, facial hair, tattoos, and scars at the Barber Chirurgian. This guy. Right here, this guy. There are some special options if you choose to be from Cadia. Cadians have an option for purple eyes. There are 2 shades to pick from. There is also a special voice option for veterans from Cadia. If you own Vermintide 1 or 2 on your account, you will receive some cosmetics that pay homage to those titles. Yes, Bardgrin is a thing in this game. Number 2. Prologue and Psychanium. These will teach you some basic mechanics of play. If this is your first playthrough, I don't think you can skip the Prologue, but you may be able to skip the Psychanium. I couldn't when I first played in the beta, but that may have changed since then. Even if you can, I recommend doing them all. It's your classic tutorial found in just about every video game these days. Number 3. Mission Terminal. There are 7 types of missions in this game: Assassination, Disruption, Espionage, Investigation, Raid, Repair, and Strike. However, that doesn't matter so much. What does matter are the activities you will engage in to complete these missions. Number 1. Kill a boss. This is only for assassination missions. If you would like to see how to deal with assassination targets, check out my fundamentals video. Number 2. Use an Auspex to scan for targets. This is iconic to investigation missions. During certain periods in the missions, you will engage with a servitor skull and will have to use a scanner, which will be equipped like a 4th item. Once your team is finished scanning everything in the area, return to the servitor skull and follow it to the next area. The servitor skull moves much slower if you don't follow it around. Number 3. Use a data interrogator. This is the common mechanic across espionage missions. It's a mini-game and requires your team to defend you while you interact with it. Click when the side-scrolling reticle hovers over the highlighted icon, move to the next row, repeat until complete. There's usually 3 or 4 iterations of this. Number 4. Clearing out demonic growths. You will come across these in various missions. There are 3 different eyeball clusters to kill before a giant eyeball will spawn that you will also have to kill. You may have to do this multiple times in a single mission. The eyeball clusters respawn after killing them, and at higher difficulties will grow back faster. Teamwork and timing is key. Number 5. Moving cylinders from one place to another. That's a pretty simple one. The Ogryn can move at normal speed when moving with them. However, all characters can slide while carrying them, vastly increasing movement rate and conserving your precious stamina. Number 4. Difficulties. There are level requirements for the different difficulties the game offers. Sedition is the easiest difficulty, or threat level as the game calls it, and Uprising is slightly more difficult than Sedition. Both of these difficulties can be played at level 1. Malice, whose difficulty will be surprising to anyone who spends their time in the other 2 previous difficulties, it can be played at level 3. Heresy can be played at level 9, and to play Damnation, you will need to be at least level 15. Increasing difficulty means more enemies who have more health and are much more aggressive. Increasing difficulty also means more experience, ordo dockets, this is the main currency of the game, plasteel, a crafting resource, and diamantine, also a crafting resource. Ordo dockets, plasteel, and diamantine are shared across your characters. There are modifiers to maps that are available. They are represented by these little yellow symbols. Click on the mission to see what they do, and if they sound interesting or fun, give them a go. You can cycle between standard missions and Auric missions. Auric missions are only available to characters who have reached level 30, and they provide difficult modifiers on Heresy and Damnation only missions. Maelstrom missions can be found on both the standard and Auric mission boards. For Auric, I've only ever seen these as Damnation difficulty, and I've only seen Malice, Heresy, and Damnation Maelstrom missions on the standard mission board. Maelstrom missions have pretty wild modifiers. If you want to see what you're made of, I suggest giving them a go. They offer some of the most difficult gameplay available. Some of the modifier sets are easier than others, and Maelstrom has some modifiers that are only found there. The available missions rotate on timers. Number 5. Player resources. Some of this was covered in the Prologue and Psychanium, but I still read posts to this day on Reddit from individuals who are confused by at least one of these. Health is just your white bar. Ignore the segments. We'll talk about those in a minute. Your total health can be seen as a number in white text to the right of the bar. You have a finite amount of this. When it reaches 0, you go down. There are a couple of ways to regain health, but for the most part, protect your health pool above all else. The blue bar is your toughness. The total amount of toughness you have available is to the right of this bar. In blue text, toughness is like a shield, but doesn't protect your health completely unless it's at 100%. For simplicity, think of it like this. If your toughness is 90% full, a hit that you take will have 90% of its value absorbed by toughness, and 10% absorbed by health. There are many ways of regaining toughness, such as kills, and from coherency, the white diamond next to your bars and teammates' bars. The more members you have in coherency, the higher your toughness regeneration rate. For that regeneration to kick in, you'll have to avoid damage for a moment. Stamina is a bar in the center of your screen. This is a resource used for blocking, pushing, and sprinting. Okay, back to those slots on your health bar. Those are your wounds. This is how many times you can go down before dying and need to be resurrected. Health, toughness, stamina, and wounds values can all be added to using curios. Number 6, enemies and armor types. There are 3 main enemy types in the game: regular, elites, and specials. Within that, they're commonly in one of 2 camps, Dreg or Scab. Dreg are primarily unarmored versus Scab, who are primarily flak armored. Regular melee enemies include Groaners, unarmored, Poxwalkers, infested, Dreg Bruisers, unarmored on the body with flak armor helmets, and Scab Bruisers, flak armor on the body and unarmored heads. Regular ranged enemies include Dreg Stalkers, unarmored, Scab Stalkers, flak armored, and Scab Shooters, also flak armored. Elite melee enemies include Dreg Ragers, Maniac, Scab Ragers, Flak, Maulers, flak body with carapace heads, Bulwarks, unyielding with carapace mixed in, and Crushers, carapace. Elite ranged enemies include Dreg Gunners, unarmored, Scab Gunners, Flak, and Reapers, primarily unyielding with carapace and flak mixed in. Specials I break into 2 categories, immobilizers and area deniers. I have never heard anyone break them out this way, it's just what makes sense to me. For immobilizers, you have Scab Trappers, Maniac, Poxhounds, Infested, and Mutants, Maniac. For area deniers, you have Scab Bombers, Flak, Dreg Flamers, Maniac, Scab Flamers, Maniac, Pox Bursters, Infested, and Scab Snipers, unarmored. Regular enemies and elite enemies spawn on the map as you load new areas. Specials will announce their presence at any moment with sound cues. If you'd like to learn more about how to recognize these cues, see my Sounds of Enemies video. I also go over how to recognize incoming hordes. Number 7, breakpoints. The damage you do to specific armor types is less important than the number of attacks it takes with each attack or a combination of attacks to kill a specific enemy. Adding enough of a damage type to a weapon through a perk, skill tree selection, or blessing to reduce the number of strikes required is what a breakpoint is. For example, if I attack a Poxwalker twice and it still has 4 health left, I would need to attack a 3rd time to kill it. Adding plus infested damage here would enable me to only have to attack the 2 times for a kill. Number 8, corruption. Okay, back to the wound segments on your health bar. Every time you go down, one of those segments is replaced with a pink color. That is corruption, and effectively lowers your total health. Going down is not the only way to gain corruption. Poxhounds will slowly give you corruption while they're pinning you to the ground. Poxbursters will apply corruption to you and anyone caught in their blast radius. Poxwalker's normal attacks will apply small amounts of corruption. Grimoires will add corruption over time to your entire team. Discarding a grimoire will not remove the corruption, it will only stop its progression. If you go down and there is corruption in the last segment of your wounds, you will die. Number 9, dying. When you reach 0 health, you will go down. Your teammates can get you back up by using the button for interacting. When corruption is beyond the threshold for the final wound you have, like we just talked about, you will die at 0 health. You will respawn at the nearest respawn point. This is what they look like. If you find yourself awaiting your team at a respawn point, have a look around your character and type in chat or use voice chat to tell them what enemies to expect when attempting your rescue. Number 10, Medicae Stations. These will heal you to full health and clear any corruption. You should note that if anyone in your team is carrying a grimoire, it will very quickly reapply the corruption you just cleared. Medicae Stations have a set number of charges as indicated by the blue lights just beneath the servitor. They have a maximum of 4 charges. Some Medicae Stations will always have 4 charges, like before a boss fight, and some will have as few as 1. Some Medicae Stations will need to be recharged with a power cell, located somewhere nearby. It is good play to allow anyone who has corruption to clear it, more so than someone who's just low health. Number 11. Deployables. Medipacks, or medical crates, will last for 5 minutes once deployed. They have a healing limit of 500 health. Multiple medipacks can be deployed on top of each other for faster healing, and can also buy you some time on a downed ally while you try to clear some mobs out before you can get them up. The ammo box has 4 charges once deployed and will completely fill your ammo. If someone deploys an ammo box, it's a good indicator to go ham with your ranged weapon and refill ammo before moving on. Don't be that person who double dips on the ammo box. Number 12. Acquiring items. You will be granted a single weapon upon mission completion. The quality of these will be dependent on your level and the difficulty of the mission. You can also receive curios as a mission reward. They're rare. This is one of the 3 sources of curios. Once you've reached level 2, the Armory Exchange has weapons for sale. The Requisition Weapons and Curios section has weapons that can be of gray, green, or blue quality. There are 2 curios available to purchase. This is the second of 3 sources of curios. The weapons and curios are randomized and rotate hourly. Brunt's Armory is a source for any weapon that you have unlocked through leveling. Each purchase is a gray item and is randomly generated modifier totals and distribution. Unlocked at level 11, Sire Melk's Requisitorium has some more rare items for sale. What is available requires a 4th currency, Ordo Ingots. Most people call these Melk Bucks. Ordo Ingots are obtained via weekly tasks that can be re-rolled to suit your playstyle. I tend to go for tasks that require me to kill things or gather resources. Melk's store resets daily at 12 a.m. UTC. The items available for purchase here are the most consistent source of Tier 3 and Tier 4 blessings. Sire Melk's weekly tasks reset at 12 a.m. UTC on Mondays. For me, being in Central Standard Time in the United States, that is 7 p.m. on Sundays. During Daylight Savings Time, it's 6 p.m. Ordo Ingots are shared across your characters, and you can do your weekly tasks for these Melk Bucks on all of your characters. Number 13. Crafting with Hadron. At level 4, you will unlock the Shrine of the Omnissiah, otherwise known as Crafting. Consecrating an item will take it through tiers of quality. The lowest quality is gray, followed by green, picking up a perk, then blue, picking up a blessing, then purple, yet another perk, and finally orange or gold, adding a second blessing. I'll leave a link in the description for Games Lantern's website where you can explore weapons, perks, blessings, and various other things. Here you can reroll 2 of any of the 2 blessings or 2 perks. Refining an item will allow you to modify a perk. You can choose which perk and which tier you would like. The cost increases based on the quality of the weapon and the tier of the perk chosen. Earning a blessing will allow you to strip 1 blessing from the weapon and add it to your pool of available blessings. There are typically 4 tiers of each blessing, but there are some blessings that only have 1 or 2 tiers, and they're not necessarily all tier 4 or tier 1, some are tier 2 and tier 3. You'll figure it out. Re-rolling a blessing allows you to replace a blessing on the weapon with 1 from your pool of available blessings. You can also modify curios here. You cannot change the blessing on the curio, but you can modify 2 of the 3 perks. Personally, I didn't modify any of my weapons until I reached level 30. I'm a hoarder of resources though. If you want to modify your gear, go for it. Number 14. Leveling up. You gain the most experience when you complete missions, but you will receive a small amount of experience if you fail them. The fastest way to level up is to complete Quickplay missions for the extra 10% experience on the highest difficulty you're capable of completing with relative certainty, and by adding plus experience perks on all of your active curios. You can have up to 3 curios, and they unlock at levels 8, 16, and 24. Number 15. Weapon progression. As you progress in levels, you will unlock new weapons and weapon variants. Try these out when you get access to them. Find out what you like. You'll have an easier time experimenting now than you will when you're rolling through Auric Maelstrom as a grizzled veteran dutifully set in your ways. Also, don't worry much about the stats of weapons or what blessings and perks you have before you reach level 30. If your weapon doesn't have a base score for modifiers of at least 340 to 350 with good stat distribution, you'll replace it at some point anyway. Currently, the max modifier total is 380. Number 16. Talent Tree. You gain a point to spend here every level you gain, up to 30. It doesn't take all of your points to go all the way down a single path, allowing for some customization if you're focusing on a particular playstyle. Feel free to experiment with these. You can modify this selection at any time you want at no cost. Number 17. Difficulty. You should push difficulty progression when you're getting bored or matches feel too easy. Playing at higher difficulties is the best way to become more skillful in combat. Mistakes and bad habits you've gotten away with at lower difficulties will expose themselves rather quickly, and you'll have to correct them to go further. One common struggle that I've seen in players across over 1,000 missions concerns melee combat prowess. If you become proficient in it, you'll have an easier time progressing into higher difficulties than most. Proficiency meaning you can deal with a horde and perhaps a poxhound trying to pounce you all by yourself while taking little to no damage. This is what you're aiming for. Number 18. Social system. Within the game menu, you can go to social and navigate to your profile. Right there, you can see your Fatshark code. If you have the code of another player, you can add them as a friend, join their strike team, or invite them to your strike team. Number 19. Cosmetics. The commissary unlocks at level 3. These cosmetics can be purchased while on any character for any character. Ordo dockets are the currency that is required for these purchases. The Commodore's Vestures, commonly referred to as the Premium Cosmetic Shop, is located across from the commissary, but it can also be accessed from the game menu. These cosmetics rotate every week or two and eventually fall off. They return in time, but the cycling of these appears to be manually chosen by Fatshark, based on some algorithm dictating the highest likelihood of sale, or it's random. I don't really know. This shop requires Aquilus, the game's 5th currency. These are purchased with real money in packs. Number 20. Penances. There are some cosmetics that are earnable through play via the Penances system. Most of these track progress across all your characters. These range from clothing items to banners to portrait frames. There are some redacted penances that were from the launch of the game. Some of these require private matches to complete, but offer some pretty cool cosmetics that you don't see very often in game. These have been placed in the redacted category due to community complaints concerning the completion requirements for these being counter to team play. I got a bonus one for you, knowledge base and updates. I'm going to leave some links down in the description of Twitter feeds and the Fatshark Forums and the Darktide Subreddit and the Discord server for Darktide and a couple other things that should help you out. That should be enough information to reduce your time spent learning all these small but important details. That leaves you more time to join strike teams and play missions. If you'd like to dive a bit deeper into the fundamentals of gameplay, including how to deal with all enemies and their mechanics and behaviors, difficulty progression, and mindset, click on this thumbnail. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Now, go slay some heretics, would you?